Hey you, how's it going? My name is Ruby Price, and as I mentioned before, I changed my 30 before 30. So a few years ago, 2017, not a few years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, when this video is coming out. So all those years ago, towards the mid to late 2010s, I created that list of 30 things I wanted to do before I reached the age of 30. I am going to be 30 this year. I don't think I'm going to tick them off, but what I did was I looked at the things that were likely to be done and the things that weren't likely to be done. The things that weren't likely to be done or impossible to be done or just against my own personal morals to be done, they've gone. I've changed them, so I'm just going to give you an update through the entire list, and there will be some things that we can tick off together, because the last time I made an update video probably weren't a lot of things that I was ticking off, and there's probably quite a few things now between the last update and this video that I have actually ticked off. So let's get started looking through my 30 before 30. Starting off, the first two items, attend Leeds Fest, go to a Pride event, both ticked off, both documented. You can go back and watch them. Point number 3, adopt a cat. Adopting a cat very much relies on being in a house where I'm actually able to have a pet. I've lived in this place now for the last 4 and a bit years. It's not allowed with our tenancy. If we move this year, which I'm hoping that we do, we might be able to move to somewhere that will allow us to have a pet, and I will be a very happy Ruby Price because I will have adopted a cat which I can squeeze to my heart's content. As long as they're happy to be squeezed. Number 4, I have tweaked a little bit. Originally, it was finish writing and publish my book. I started writing a book about my transition in 2017. I haven't finished it. I haven't really done much with it for the last few years because I've just not been in that state of mind. But it's a nice target to have, to finish writing about that chapter of my life whilst I was transitioning, because the older I get, the less I'm going to remember all of those little details, and it's those details that make the story. Number 5 was originally present on a radio station that's paid me to be there. That's not going to happen. I have not had any radio experience now for well over 5 years. The closest I've come is probably my podcast. The industry's changed, and I've changed it to release a new song. I am a musically driven person. My undergraduate degree is in music journalism. I've released an EP. I love playing music. I love writing music. So what I would like to do before I reach the age of 30 is to finish and release a new song. And if you'd like to listen to more, you can always listen to my EP Cynical. It's 2 tracks, 3 tracks if you get it on Bandcamp, and you'll get an instrumental version of a song. For me, the best song on that is the cover of Freak by Zand that me and my friend Chloe did. It's really good. Number 6 was Go on a Holiday by Myself. Number 7 is assemble a photo album. Now this is surely something I can tick off, because in 2022 I went to the Lake District and I took my camera along with me and I took some photographs of the Lake District. See, there's me in the Lake District. Does this count as a photo album? Because these are printed off photos. Look, or alternatively, this one from Leeds Fest in 2019. That's me at Leeds Fest. These are photos. I guess you could describe it as an album. Is this a photo album? That's Blackwaters, that's Patent Pending. Does that count? I'm ticking it off. I think it counts. Number 8, learn how to cook properly. Definitely done this. When I wrote this list, the most I was really cooking was making fajitas with a friend, very much leading a recipe. Since moving into this house, I have learnt to cook Thai food, curries, pizza, pasta. I do so much more of my own cooking. I feel so much better for it, and the food that I eat is really fucking good. So yeah, I've learnt to cook. I'm very happy with that. I even improvise my own recipes, and I've got a few favourites, most of which I presume will have appeared on the screen whilst I've been talking. Number 9, go to a fancy restaurant. I went to the Savoy in London with my family to celebrate my nana's 80th a few years ago. I had a glazed aubergine, and I think it was probably one of the best aubergines I've ever eaten. And wow, it was so fancy. It felt really nice. Very expensive. I wouldn't really do it again by myself, but it's just nice to have that experience and I can say that I've done it. Number 10, attend a Coventry game. I've done it twice. I went to go and see them at the Huddersfield Football Stadium a few years ago, and I went again in 2022, I think it was, and we saw Coventry beat Huddersfield 4-1, I want to say. That was a really good atmosphere that time. Number 11, start a week ago season 3. Now this is a rewrite, because originally it was go see a musical on the West End. I don't think that's likely. I would still quite like to go and see something on the West End, just a live performance in general. I don't think it's going to happen before I'm 30, but I am quite interested in restarting my vlogging series a week ago. I started a week ago because it was a good way for me to just keep editing, and I restarted a week ago when we moved into this house because again it was another way for me to just keep my skills sharp, keep editing, keep myself camera confident as well. So yeah, I think a week ago season 3 will be a good opportunity to do something like that, but I still haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do it, when I'm going to do it, or why I'm going to do it. Number 12, work at a different job. When I was doing this, I was still in the first job I'd ever had. I left that job at the same time I started doing my masters, and since then I've had 2. One working in a retail store, which one of the worst experiences of my entire life. It shattered my mental health, and I think I still have some form of PTSD from working in that supermarket. I am in a job in communications, in digital communications, using skills that I've built up across my life, and I love it. I think it's great. I like working for the organisation that I do. I really believe in the ethos that that organisation has. The organisation I work with fundamentally doesn't exist just to create money, and I feel like that aligns quite a lot with my own personal values. So, number 13, finish facial hair removal. When I was transitioning on the NHS gender care pathway, part of that was 8 free sessions of hair removal for my face. Then I had to privately fund it afterwards, and I didn't have any money, so I didn't continue doing it. I feel like finishing facial hair removal for an entire face in the space of 9 months is less likely than likely. I'm not gonna do it unless I actually, sit down and get myself to do it. So if you're a trans-friendly electrolysis clinic in the West Yorkshire region, please say hello. Number 14, get out of my overdraft. A few years ago, I had an operation, which meant that I wasn't working for 10 weeks, and I spent 10 weeks not working. I spent 10 weeks not generating any income whilst working for a company where I didn't get paid sick time off. So if I wasn't working, I didn't get paid. So for the last few years, I've had one savings task, and that is to save enough money to pay off my overdraft, which at the start of December I used to pay off my overdraft. Puts me in a good stead for some other goals on this list. Speaking of, point 15, leave Huddersfield. I've lived in Huddersfield since 1998. I've done everything there is to be done. I have 100%ed Huddersfield. That's not to say I don't like Huddersfield. It's very well connected. A lot of my friends are here, and we do have one of the best music venues in West Yorkshire as far as I'm concerned with the parish. But at the same time, I think just being somewhere different, allowing myself to, be in a new place with new circumstances, with new streets to explore, new Pokestops to spin. I think my time in Huddersfield it's done. And I'm not really sure what much else it has to offer, but hey, I'm also happy to be proved wrong. I tweaked number 16, but it still kind of applies in the same way that it did before. So before it was attend a summer in the city weekend, the YouTube convention. Now it is attend a convention weekend, and I've been to 2 so far, and they are EasterCon. Funnily enough, not about Easter, it just takes place at Easter. It's a British sci-fi and fantasy con, and mostly I just go there to play board games with friends, and it's really cool. But at the last 2 that I've been to, there have been some really good Doctor Who talks. There was one in 2024 about social media and what channels people are on. I went there very much intrigued around the conversation because I was hoping that we might talk about the ethical and moral questions around endorsing people using the platform Twitter. When I raised that question, it wasn't really answered satisfactorily. That's not a word. Is it a word? I don't know. I don't care. It's my channel. It's now a word. Satisfactorily. In satisfaction of Ruby Bryce. Yeah, it's just really fun. It's just really cool to just go somewhere, play board games, be with friends, and have a nice weekend. Number 17, acquire a girl/boyfriend. I probably could have just said be in a relationship, but yeah, I'm in a relationship. I've been in a relationship now since 2019. I'm having a great time, and yeah, that's all we need to say on that one. We'll see you on point 18. I'd already ticked this off. It's learn to drive. So number 19 was join a gym. It is now reach episode 50 of Fresh from the Scene. Fresh from the Scene, my music podcast. I talk to musicians and adjacent to the music industry. What started off as just me talking to some friends in the Huddersfield music scene became me having the chance to talk to successful musicians like Frank Turner, Calva Louise, Noah Fintz, 2 different members of As It Is. At the time of recording, I've done 43 episodes, so that just means in 2025, I need to do 7 episodes of Fresh from the Scene. So let's do it. If you're a musician, let's figure something out. I'm also up for repeat interviews. If point 19 was joining a gym originally, point 20, start doing yoga, is also so unlikely that I've decided to change it. And I've changed it to start rowing regularly. Now, we have a rowing machine. When we first got it, I started rowing quite a bit. I got lazy, I stopped rowing. I want to essentially develop a workout routine and stick to it, and essentially just take better care of myself. I can't go up a flight of stairs generally without getting out of breath. Let's fix that in 2025. Point 21, ticked off, attend a gig in a foreign country. And I also turned that one into a book as well. How many people can say they saw David Byrne and Noel Gallagher in the space of a few hours? I mean, anyone that attended Rockwork 2018. Number 22, read the Game of Thrones book series. Now, unless George R.R. Martin plans on releasing 2 books in the space of 9 months, I've marked that as ticked because I've read all of the main series to the point that I can right now. So, point 23 was originally by an iMac. I'm not going to buy an iMac. So now what it is try making an F1 series on YouTube. Obviously, I put a lot of my creative energies into my Grid Talk podcast. I like trying things out on this channel. So what I would quite like to do is try doing an F1 series. Doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be popular. I just have to enjoy doing something, and I will give it a go. And I have so much more to offer to Formula One than just what I do on Grid Talk, because you know, we have things that we have to do for Grid Talk, and I've got a few ideas. I also play a lot of the F1 games. I have a wheel, I have pedals, I even have a seat for it. Maybe some video game content, because I do play a lot. Is that something you'd watch? Would you watch me playing F1? Point 24, already ticked again. Graduate university with at least a 2-1. Did it. Got a first. Went back. Got a distinction. So, number 25 was originally attempt a Harry Potter marathon. I can't think of anything worse. I can't think of anything that I would be less inclined to do than watch a movie so intrinsically linked to a woman who hates trans people for legal reasons, I will say allegedly. Instead, and let's face it, Disney aren't much better. I want to watch the Infinity Saga in order, and to be honest, I'm most of the way through that already, having only started I think a few months ago. It's not the biggest task in the world, but since the Infinity Saga finished, I haven't yet watched all of the movies through, so that's what me and my partner have been doing. Yeah, it's been quite interesting revisiting these movies, because I had memories, I had conceptions, and it's been interesting seeing those challenged or reinforced whilst I've been going back through it. So I'll let you know when I've finished. Point 26, done and done. Have an article I write published on our third-party site. I did that when F1 announced a race in Saudi Arabia, which I morally disagree with, so I wrote about it. and I continue to boycott the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, the Qatar Grand Prix, and I wish F1 would stop adding races to countries where I can't safely attend, because I still haven't attended an F1 race yet in my life, which is crazy, and I feel like I couldn't currently go to about half or a third of the calendar and feel safe. So that's on you, F1. That's on you. Point 27, so this is another one that I've changed. Originally, it was watch all the DVDs and Blu-rays that I own. That's a bit boring. I have a lot of movies, I have a lot of DVDs, I have a lot of respect for physical media. And with that love of physical media is a love of music. With that love of music is a love for bands. And with that love for bands is of course a love for As It Is. You know, that's a given. And for any British As It Is fan, one bucket list item generally is always to visit Blenheim Place in Brighton, take a photo with a street sign, a bit of a, you know, in-joke giggle. And I've never been to Brighton, so I've never had the opportunity to do this. I think it's a more valiant effort for me to go to Brighton and take a picture next to a street sign than it is for me to watch all the DVDs and Blu-rays that I own. So yeah, I want to tick off my As It Is fandom bingo card. 28, get a cat related tattoo. Since I made this list, I've had 2 new tattoos. I found a really good tattoo artist in Huddersfield. Her Instagram is on the screen. Look at what look at it. This is brilliant. It's not a cat, granted it's a raptor. I have an idea and I just need to get my cat tattoo. 29, done this twice, start a podcast. Grid talk, fresh from the scene. What more can I say? And point 30, put together a gig scrapbook. There's a few different proof of concepts I've got going around in my head. I go to a lot of gigs, I go to a lot of shows, I take a lot of photos, and just somewhere to put them and things like this, it'd be really cool. And it doesn't have to just be like this. Like, this is just essentially a proof of concept photo book that I get using an app that gives me it, and I just got to pay the cost of postage, which is probably elevated to some degree. I could do it, you know, little by little. I could do it event based like those ones. I could do it band based like this As It Is one that I had made earlier in the year. I've got the very first time I saw As It Is on photo. I've got the very last time that I saw As It Is on photo. That won't be the very last time in 2025 because slam dunk. As I say, I have a lot of photos. I just want to do something with them now. So I could maybe half tick that, but I want something that documents all of the gigs. I want something that documents every show I've ever been to. I have tickets, I have photos, I have memories. Just got to do something with them. And if I'm not able to do that before I turn 30 in September 2025, I'll just turn it into a 40 before 40. It's a bucket list. Sure, on the label it should be 30 before the age of 30, but I'm not holding myself to account, and neither should you. But yes, that is the updated, revised list of 30 things I want to do before I reach the age of 30. As I say, if I manage to do that, it'll be a miracle, but, you know, maybe I should apply myself in 2025. Have you got a bucket list? Have you got a list of things you want to do? Have you been inspired by this video to make your own 30 before 30? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, do all that generic YouTube stuff like share, comment, subscribe, etc, etc. Find me on the socials, Blue Sky, Threads, yeah, Instagram, and I'll see you around. As always, I've been Ruby Price, and I shall see you next time. Adios. Bye. This video was brought to you by Patreon.